I'm Yanelyn again, and welcome back to Mollusk Monday. We're going to dive straight into the different types of mollusks that you can find in the tide pools of sunny Santa Barbara. The best tip I have for having a really fun tide pool experience is to not be afraid to use your hands to look around, as some of the animals might be well hidden. So let's dive into snails. Here we have the Calyx whelk. These guys have a little door covering their shell called an operculum, and that is used to protect them both from drying out and from predators. You can also find the chestnut cowrie, which has a beautiful and shiny smooth shell. The chestnut cowrie actually polishes its own shell with a body part called mantle to remove parasites that may try and burrow its way into its shell. If you see this beautifully spiraled shell, then you have found a wavy turban snail. I usually just find the shells, but if you find a live one, you might notice that there might be some other snail species nearby, as this is a carnivorous snail that eats other snails. And just like snails, slugs can also be found in the ocean. Most commonly in Southern California tide pools, you can find the Abenaki, a type of sea slug that eats other sea slugs. It's pretty gnarly, but they're very pretty. Here's a video of one. You can also find other species of sea slugs such as the Spe-SHELL, nudibranch, and the clown nudibranch, and many other brightly colored sea slugs. Here is a picture of a Spe-SHELL I found the other day, and here's a picture of a live clown nudibranch. My favorite sea slug happens to come around only a few times of the year, but they have a special place in my heart, the California Sea Hare. These slugs are characterized by their little bunny ears, or rhinophores if you want to be technical, and their color and their size. They only live for around a few months a year, and they mate in the spring and summer. But starting in the fall, you may be able to spot babies in the tide pool. If you pick one up, be careful as they may ink when they're stressed. Here's a video of one I took. And speaking of ink, you can totally find octopuses in the tide pools. If you lift up rocks, you may find the coveted two-spotted octopus, which you can tell by the two spots by their head. Usually they'll range in sizes, but you'll typically find them under rocks as they like to be hidden when the water is gone. Here's a video of one I found. But that's not all. We can't forget about important bivalves like the mussel. They are typically bunched up under rocks or in the harbor, and they have their own ecosystems within their clumps. I usually look for crabs on them. Mussels have a very interesting predator, the Pisaster sea star. Tune in next week on Mollusk Monday and Temperate Tuesday to learn more about the relationship between these two species. In the tide pool, you can also find mossy chitons that grow algae on their plated shell to camouflage and look like rocks that are covered in algae. Just like the limpet, they are super hard to get off the rock. There are so many more species of mollusks in the tide pools. We went over such a small amount today. However, these are the common ones that you can find and show off to your friends if you like. Thank you for joining me on our tide pool exploration, and join us next week as we dive in deep on bivalves. Until then.